What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to this episode in which I want to recommend you go see a movie. I put it out there just after I saw it, Blindspotting. For those that didn't watch the opening credits of the show, I went and saw Blindspotting. Highly recommended. It was recommended that I watch it, that it was a good movie, and I went and I saw it, and it was amazing. I don't know if you'll be able to find it. The only theater that was showing it out here, I believe, only has one screening left this weekend, so by next week it'll be gone. So when it hits, streaming, Netflix, Amazon, iTunes, buy it. It's so good. It's based in Oakland. It follows your main character, who is on probation, was in jail for something we don't find out for a while into this movie. And so he's got to stay on the straight and narrow, and he's got a best friend that likes to get into trouble, and that's kind of how the whole situation happened in a lot of ways. And it's just so good. It's a funny movie. It's like a comedy. It's almost like if Boys in the Hood, if you were to take that movie and then gentrify it. If you were to put a couple where it's like it's not just a comedy. There's a lot of funny moments. It's not just a drama, even though there's some really heartfelt moments in this movie. It's not a suspense movie, even though there's a couple moments in this movie where I was like, some of the most suspenseful scenes, just simple suspenseful scenes where you don't know what's going to happen. You think you know what's going to happen. You know what could happen. You know the potentials of what could happen in these moments. And you have, an extreme buildup of anxiety and stress. And it's just done so well. Like, just tonally, the director's able to, like, put you in different emotions throughout this thing. I give so much fucks about the characters in this movie. David Diggs, who is also a writer. Apparently, he's also one of the people in Hamilton, or wrote Hamilton. Clearly has the ability to rap or do, poetry. Very good performer. Just a great actor in general. Both him and his friend, who plays his friend, Miles, Rafael Casal. Has he done anything? So good, man. So it's like, there's more street guys. They're hustlers. And, Raphael's like Miles, his friend Miles, is like the wigger. He's the white ghetto dude that, like, embraces, some people will call it cultural appropriation to some extent, but it's very much he is that kind of dude, even though he is white. But it also tackles just like so many movies, racism, and just kind of it puts you in the shoes of people and just gives you that perspective, those moments that give you perspective, that put you in their shoes, to make you understand the difficulties of growing up poor and black in America, in like the city, in a shitty part of the city. Especially it deals with gentrification too, in a way. It's definitely part of it, Oakland being gentrified. And man, it's so good. It's such a good movie. Like, Sorry for Bothering You, very similar spiritually movies, but this one I think just nails it a little bit more. Where the other one, it takes a turn into ridiculous, surreal, like craziness. This one stays a little bit more grounded in reality, but it's just fucking amazing moments. Like, for sure, it's definitely my favorite movie of the year so far. and just another great like movie, independent movie most people probably will never hear of, but just so good. So good. Such a good movie. Um I would love to go into spoilers. I'm not going to do that. I'd rather you go see the movie. I mean, as far as themes and things like that, it deals with, it's nothing really that you haven't seen in any other movie, but the way it brings you into it, it brings you into this situation in a very lighthearted way, very modern time too, so it's updated for modern times, but just super relatable. I love fucking all of these characters. They all have fucking, they all grow. It's so good. It's such a good movie. Go watch it. Stop this right now. Go check your movie app. See what movies, see if it's playing in your area. Go see it. Highly recommend. If you have Movie Pass, just do it. Do it. You got AMC, A-List, do it. If it's in your area, go watch this movie. Highly recommend it. Blindspotting, directed by Carlos Lopez Estrada. I think kind of his first big movie. And it's not, it's, you know, only just over an hour and a half long. It's perfect. It's not too short. It's not too long. It doesn't have worthless shit in it. It's just so good. It's just so good. Go watch it. I want to just talking about it right now. I want to find it somewhere online illegally and watch it. That's how bad I want to watch this again. Maybe I'll go to a theater and watch it again tonight. I won't do that, but it feels like I have the urges to do that. You know what I'm saying? So good. And it does, in a way, it does have like those moments, not quite as many as like, I mean, the whole movie of Sorry to Bother You is like these moments that kind of take you out, where like the voices, there's just so many things. It's like cranked up a little bit too much. Like this is cranked down a little bit, more grounded, but still has so much. It's just so good, so well written. Great acting. I want to see more from these guys. Go watch Blindspotting. That's it. You can follow me on social media at Ray Taylor. Go to my website, inspireddisorder.com. You can buy this shirt, the Conspiracy Disorder shirt, the Diseasy shirt, all of my artwork. I release new artwork every single day. And starting today, the Ray Taylor Show is going to be released every single day. This is 7 days a week, every single day. I put out a new piece of artwork on Instagram. I put out a new show, The Ray Taylor Show. So get used to that. Get ready. I'm doing it. It's coming. All the links for everything up here. If you want to watch the show before anybody else does, before it goes live on IGTV, go over to my Patreon page, patreon.com/inspireddisorder. That is where you can be a member and get a bunch of extra content, bonus content, exclusive content, like seeing making of videos, like watching this show before anybody else does, like seeing my art before anybody else does. So many great things. All the links are up top. Have a great week, everybody. Peace out.
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to my show. I'm going to talk about some Photoshop. If you follow me on Instagram at Ray Taylor, you see every once in a while I put up Photoshops. I used to do more often in the past. Definitely planning on doing more in the future, at least recording them and sharing. I do some Photoshops in the background that you just don't see. You don't see because, you know, somebody else is paying me for them, and, you know, it's a different creative process when you're doing that. So I might share those eventually. But Photoshop, I've been into Photoshop for most of my life. Okay, my mom was raised by a single mom. I'm an only child. A lot of alone time, let's just say that. There was a moment in my mom's life where she got into graphic design, had a Mac, had Photoshop like 2.0, 3.0. And around 8th grade when I left, if you watched my review on the movie 8th grade, I kind of talked about my life at 8th grade. Was not a good time. Ended up halfway through the school year, ended up leaving to be homeschooled, just depression, suicidal thoughts, hating, just anxiety through the roof. bullying's real. Especially if, like, I don't know how teachers are now, but, like, clearly bullying going on in the classroom and teachers clearly ignoring it. That kind of shit doesn't help. When a kid in 8th grade feels like there's nobody that's on their side or anybody that can understand what's going on, you're all alone. It seems like when you're at home or at school. Very tough time. I left. So while I was home alone, kind of a couple things happened. One, 13. Okay. Hormones, crazy. Porn. You can go into the trees, the tamarisk trees out here in the desert. The closest thing we have to a forest. Literally found porn out there. But I got creative. Being home alone, had access to Photoshop. My mom got Victoria's Secrets catalogs. So there were days where I would scan the catalog page of the catalog in and maybe airbrush out a fishnet. And that's how, this is like some of the first early training of Photoshop for me. Then I finally went to real high school again in 10th grade. I missed 9th grade. I was out for all of 9th grade. So some of this Photoshop happened in 9th grade as well. 14 years old. Hormones still going, virgin, no way to really unleash the beast. And so after went back to high school, they offered a digital art class, which I took and ended up knowing more than everybody else. Basically, exchanged notes with my teacher. So that was an awesome. First, I bonded probably my favorite teacher, Mr. Wilson. Tom Wilson, I think. La Quinta High School, class of 99. But he, probably my favorite teacher ever. I mean, I can't even think of names of other teachers. My art teacher, Miss Fuller, she was pretty great. But yeah, so that class introduced me to Photoshop, the newer Photoshops, layers. I'd never used layers before. Pen tabs, Wacom. Pen tablets. We had Macs. There was like a whole computer thing, like 30 computers, 30 little, the smaller pen tablets. And yeah, I took advantage of that, did a bunch of projects there. And then after high school, when I moved out, was living at a girlfriend's house, I bought the Photoshop Bible from like a Barnes & Noble when bookstores were a thing. And I got the Photoshop Bible and pretty much just read it. I was working at a movie theater first I was working at just regular concession, and I'd have it, it'd be during the week, during the day, it'd be slow as hell, and I'd have it in this little drawer by a register. I'd just open the drawer and just start reading. And basically learned all the fundamentals of, the different file formats and just the basics of graphic design and what Photoshop did. And because I'd used it so many times, like I could read it, and then in my head, I would be going through the steps, like opening the menus, and just because I knew where everything was and how everything worked. So that's what I did. People thought I was crazy because I was basically reading just a owner's manual for Photoshop, because it would break down every single feature, everything that it did, everything. And kind of just didn't do graphic design, didn't really do much Photoshop. There was some moments in like 02, I had done some where I was just like, I'm just going to do like do my artwork, but with Photoshop. Instead of, setting up, I was doing acrylic paintings. So I did a few. Nothing really clicked as far as, I'd always just done Photoshop here and there. Album covers for people. I worked for a band for a while, did their website and did show posters and promotional stuff and merch and all this kind of shit. But it wasn't until Denver, doing the Inspired Disorder podcast, my old podcast that I'd grown from 2009 when it started till 2016, when Keith and I moved to Denver to do the show full time. And during that time, I started to do Photoshops for each of the episodes and became more elaborate with the Photoshops and just started doing Photoshops for every episode, which we did 2 episodes a week. So like 100, very fast. I don't know how many I've done, but there's way over 100 that I've done. And doing it regularly is definitely the best for anything. I mean, doing anything regularly, you kind of get in that mode and you don't have rust to shake off or anything like that. So it's been a journey for Photoshop, and now, I still do it, but now I'm trying to do it more professionally, which is kind of weird because I've never done it. Like, I don't know the standards for what people that go to graphic design school, how they format their stuff and organize their PDF file or PSD files. It's like, I don't know any of that shit. When I'm on Photoshop, layers upon layers upon layers. And rarely use filters. Filters is like, I remember filters. Filters is like what I would equate it to with like comedy. It's like hack comedy. It's just like instead of doing actual manipulation of the photo, you throw a filter on there and then you call it art. Or you throw a few filters on there and you think you've modified the image. I mean, you have, but it's like very little creativity. But you can tell somebody that's new to Photoshop when they just go balls out on filters. And there used to be these filter groups called Alien Skin, which were insane. There was only a few times where I was able to install them and get them to work right, but there were some crazy filters, some high-end filters. But I rarely like blur. I use like blur filters most of the time. But anyway, I love Photoshop. It's just one of those things that there's tons of tools that they've added over the years. I'm sure that I still don't know. All right. This doesn't happen, people, but this is a part 1. Tomorrow, part 2 of Photoshop. Who would have thought? Photoshop, 2-parter. See you tomorrow. Peace out.
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
What's up, everybody? I went and saw a movie. Went and saw The Spy Who Dumped Me. It's a comedy that I was looking forward to seeing. I see every fucking movie that comes out, but this one I was looking forward to. Just a light, fun comedy action, playing on the, spy thing. Mission Impossible came out. This is more of the comedy version of that. But it's two female friends that are, accidentally thrust into the spy world because one of them is dating a spy unbeknownst to them, and they get wound up in it. So anyway, this is written and directed by Susan Fogel. So good. This is her first movie. She's written a bunch of stuff, done TV directing, but this is her first movie. Stars Kate McKinnon and Mila Kunis. I don't know why. I know why I was blanking on her name because I blank on everybody's name. Which I enjoy. I mean, both of them are, good actresses. Definitely Kate McKinnon's hilarious. The best part, other than the 3D, and actually a couple things, but definitely one of the best parts of the Ghostbusters remake. I think she does Saturday Night Live too. I haven't watched Saturday Night Live in like probably close to 20 years now. But she's fucking hilarious, and she's definitely the best part of this movie. The only thing I would say, it's a really fun movie. Go see it if it's out. It is 2 hours long, and it could have easily been 90 minutes. They could have cut easily a half hour out of the end of this movie, and I would have been totally fine with it. I think it just tries to get too much into the plot of the thing because it is a spy movie. You know, there's a lot of like double crosses and like who's the what's it. But other than that, I thought it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot. I I don't know if I want to see a sequel to this because it definitely ends. I mean, it ends with them. It's spoilers being basically professionals. Now that there's a lot of movies where this happens. They kind of become good at this thing from one time ever doing it. But yeah, so they could do more. I don't necessarily want to see more. I wouldn't mind seeing more from this director. I thought it was a fun action movie. I don't know if there was any really memorable action set pieces necessarily that stand out. Like as far as even stylistically as a director, there's nothing necessarily that stands out. But for sure, really good. She's definitely up there with a shitload of other directors that do competent action movies, comedies. I thought it was really well done. I enjoyed it. I would love to see a buddy action movie with Kate McKinnon and Jackie Chan. That would be fun. That'd be interesting. He hasn't done anything. I mean, he does these like he did one with Johnny Knoxville that nobody has heard of. Anyway, The Spy Who Dumped Me, go see it if it's out. It's a fun movie. You don't necessarily have to see it in a theater. Like if it was an hour and a half, I would be way more amped to like tell you to go watch it. But chances are it's going to be out of theater soon anyway, and just wait for it to come on Netflix. It's a fun watch. Very similar to like a Game Night, a comedy that came out earlier in the year. It's just, kind of a similar tonally, because that one's not necessarily spy, but it's definitely, this has similar, like, I don't know who's who or whatever. Both fun movies, and yeah, I enjoy it. I wouldn't mind seeing them team up, Mila Kunis and McKinnon team up in another movie either. I think that would be fun. But not necessarily an extension or a sequel to this one. But yeah, go see it. The Spy Who Dumped Me, in theaters now or on streaming in a bit. You can find all of my work, my artwork, this podcast, fucking photoshops that I do, everything that I do, inspireddisorder.com. Links are up top, as always. You can get making of videos and premium content, exclusive content. If you want to watch me do Photoshop, if you want to watch me make a painting, if you want to see this show, all 7 episodes before anybody else, go over to patreon.com/inspireddisorder. Sign up. You get a bunch of benefits. So go check it out. Link up top. Hope you all have a wonderful week, and I'll be back with another episode tomorrow. So until then, peace out!
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Boom! Bum, talking UFC, talking fight shit, talking MMA. That's right. There's no fights. There's fights coming up. But, I figure I throw in. I'm doing an episode a day with this show. So you're going to get a lot of more of just things that, I'm into currently, feel like discussing or enjoy talking about. I don't know why I say discussing, because I'm not really talking with anybody, just at you people that are watching me. But in this episode, UFC, man, there are some things coming up. There were some things. There was the finale of the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series just ended. which if you do not have Fight Pass, it is the must-watch series. It like there's just so many. It's different than everything else production-wise, and it's it the stakes are such that you get amazing fights. You get people that want to look impressive so they can get the contract to be in the UFC. So that's what it is, basically. This is the second season of the show. If you're not familiar with it, let me break it down for you. It's filmed in the Tough Gym, so there's no audience. The only audience that's there are family and friends for the fighters that are on the card, and coaches. And then you have Dana White, Sean Shelby, and Mick Maynard, the fight promoter, president, and then the two matchmakers. And they watch just basically 5 fights, like a main card. So short anyway, because I like to watch full cards. I'll watch from the Fight Pass prelims all the way to the main event. So it's a short card. And you get a lot of finishes. There's rarely a boring fight. There was maybe like 1 boring fight in the whole season, maybe 2. And then the rest were like, even if they went to a decision, it was a crazy fight. But you get a lot of finishes. You get a lot of people taking chances in there, and that's where you see magic in those moments. Sometimes you get a Demetrius Johnson where he can kind of control that chaos. But a lot of the times you just have to, just throw 2 people at each other, and the person that's able to get in the zone and function and slow time down and react with their, trained muscle movements, like that person can do amazing things and then ends up winning a lot of the times. Not always, because people get caught. Knockout is a knockout. But just so exciting. And, I think the premise of the show when it first started was they were only going to hand out 1 contract. I'm pretty sure it was just going to be 1 contract. And then you started getting crazy finishes. So they start handing out all kinds of contracts. And I think I was going to go through the whole thing, but it's just too long of a list. Like 20 to 30 fighters. Probably closer to 30, if not more, fighters they've signed. They've gotten some interesting light heavyweights. They've had some interesting heavyweights. Like they're clearly trying to pump up some divisions. And I think it's compared to The Ultimate Fighter, which is pretty outdated, but they say they're going to continue doing it. Or Dana said that in an interview recently. So The Ultimate Fighter, which, outdated, but still has its audience, I guess. It's still a different flavor. It's more, that's a tournament style to get into the UFC. More, kind of circus act compared to this, which is basically as if they were doing their own just independent circuit and, just signing people to a 1-fight thing to fight this night, and with the opportunity to get a contract to fight in the UFC. And then they have Dana White's looking for a fight, where it's more of a road trippy thing with Matt Serra and God damn it, who's the guy that they replaced? It was Nick the Tooth the first season, and then they replaced him with Dean Thomas. And it's a fun show, too. Fun, they're all different kinds of shows, all with the same purpose of getting talent. Sage Northcutt and Mickey Gall. Dana White looking for a fight clearly is valid because of those 2 people. I don't know how many other people came from that show, but they found 2, one for sure superstar, Sage, who probably hit the scene a little bit too hard, too fast, but he's definitely looking better. He's since he went to Alpha Male and quit school. Clearly, I think he's had a marked improvement compared to I think he was just green. Same thing with Mickey Gall. He was on a good run and then ran into a guy with just a little bit more experience, a little bit more stand-up experience. But he's been out, and I think he's just been working on his tools this whole time. but still another name because he fought CM Punk, so we got a little bit of that shine. Fucking love UFC, man. Fucking love it. Fucking love it. So, in this show, you got God damn it, what's his name? Sean O'Malley. So, and there's from this current season, God, what was his name? There was a guy that just fought, I think Kevin Holland, something like that. He just fought on the last card. And, he definitely looked a little bit green. His competition was good, but he was in there. He survived. He felt the competition. He felt the heat. And he looked great. So it's super fun. So the card, because all of the finishes, the Dana White Tuesday night fights, can be done in like an hour and a half. And there's no commercials. There's no ring card girls. There's no audience. So you hear, it's a way more intimate setting. It's fucking crazy. And you get to see the bios of all the fighters before they go up. So it's interesting. The first season, they experimented with alternate commentary where Snoop Dogg and Uriah Faber, which I didn't mind. I like that idea. I wish they did it this season. But it was also fun to see Michael Bisping commentate this season for a few episodes. I think while Felder was getting prepped for his fight, or for fight after fight that kept getting like squashed or trashed, they would take his opponent and he would be he just kept getting fucked over. So I think he wasn't able to do the first few weeks. But Bisping as a commentator, amazing. I hope he does more of it. Would love to see him do that and work more. And yeah, hopefully he's a good actor too. Because I've yet to see MMA fighter that's like, oh, I could see, okay, nothing. They're whatever. They're not good. It's really bad. They announced McGregor versus Nurmagomedov for Vegas, October 6th, I think. Whew. I want McGregor to win. But, I mean, if Nurmagomedov, it's going to be... Conor has a problem. He gets gassed. Diaz gassed him. Both fights. Just McGregor was able to pull through in the second fight. But I love McGregor, man. Not that I have anything against Nurmagomedov. He's a beast. Everybody that comes out of Dagestan seems to be a fucking crazy beast, whether they're a striker or a wrestler. So I don't know. I'm excited for that fight. I'm sure it's going to be an awesome card. But I hope McGregor wins. But I'll have picks for that before the fight card. So that's it. Those are my thoughts on the UFC. There'll be fights coming up pretty soon, so I'll make picks for those probably next week. But have a great week, everybody. Before I get out of here, though, go to my website, inspireddisorder.com. Check out all my artwork. Go to patreon.com/inspireddisorder for exclusive content. I'm at Ray Taylor. Have a great week. Peace out!
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Boom! What's up, everybody? Went and saw a movie, Spike Lee joint. Went and saw a joint on screen in motion living picture by none other than Spike Lee. The man, the myth, the legend that hates Reggie Miller, but also directs movies. Came out with a movie this past week called BlacKkKlansman, which is, I don't remember seeing, maybe maybe the trailer a couple times. As far as like movies that have been shoved down my throat, like the Rich Asian movie that's coming out, like almost every movie I've seen this summer had that trailer in front of it. But this one, not as much, but it came out, and out of the movies that came out this week, The Meg, you got the Christopher Robin movie I still haven't seen. Yeah, whatever. I went and saw this. This seemed the most interesting by far. As far as Spike Lee movies, I love Inside Man, probably one of the most commercial, quote-unquote, movies that he's done that I can think of. I remember seeing Bamboozled when I worked at the movie theater back in the day, like 2000, 2001, whenever that came out. Didn't really enjoy it as much, but I also was still kind of new to movies, hadn't branched out into more of like the art house independent movies. I'd still like probably had too much enjoyment for Michael Bay at the time. I don't know. But I'd love to go back and rewatch his catalog though, because if after for whatever reason watching this movie, it was fucking amazing. It was so good. This movie, fucking Blindspotting, like similar sorry to bother you, all very similar, very definitely stories from the African American black perspective, which I enjoy. I enjoy seeing new shit. I'm so tired of fucking remakes. I'm tired of superhero movies. I'm tired of reboots. I'm tired of the female version of shit. Like, just make new shit. We don't have to remake everything. And just the new flavor of, like, instead of just rebooting a franchise now, the trendy thing is to reboot it with the opposite sex involved, which is fine if it's good, but some of it's not good. Some of it they're clearly just doing to do. Like Ocean's 8, probably one of the better of the female versions of male casting versus women casting that I've seen. Whatever. Fucking Spike Lee is he's rolling some good joints. He rolled up a fucking great movie right here. I fucking love this. Stars John David Washington. I don't know where the fuck this guy's been. He does, like, his voice he's almost like a slightly higher toned Denzel. Like, he has a very Denzel. Is that racist to say? Both great actors, by the way. But this fucking movie is amazing. So it's about the first black... It's based on true story. I don't know how true it is. I'm not going to describe it as history, but it's a story. It's a movie. Fictional tale, as it were. It's not a news broadcast or a documentary. But this movie posits that this movie is almost like Spike Lee. I don't know if his other movies have this kind of feel to it, but it's like Spike Lee did a Coen brother movie. Like Spike Lee style, but it very much felt like a Coen brother movie, and I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe it was just where it took place, the time it took. I don't know. It very much felt like that. So he is the first black cop, Colorado Springs, which is south of Denver, smaller city. I believe more conservative, more religious, definitely more religious. This movie takes place in, it doesn't even say in the brief. It's like, are you serious? But it's like, I want to say 80s? No, 70s. It's like around, but it basically it starts off with them wanting to use him to infiltrate the Black Panthers. So it's whenever that time was. 60s? 70s? I'm horrible with history. And for whatever reason, the fucking IMDb in the synopsis of this movie doesn't mention the year at which it takes place. So forgive me. But they use him to infiltrate Black Panther. There's like the speaker coming into town to talk to college students who are part of the Black Union. And so he does that. And then I thought the movie was going to compare that kind of side of those times with he starts to investigate the KKK. I don't even know how. I think he just randomly called. They had like an ad or something in the paper, and he called it up. And the guy who answered he didn't say, like, he, just spoke to him with like a little bit more of a white voice, a little bit. I mean, not really. I mean, I guess he said anyway. That was probably fucking. It's a great movie. Like, as far as somebody like, I didn't grow up around a bunch of black people. There's definitely more black people in the desert now. Um, and I've always, I've have friends with black people. I've met a lot of they're amazing. Everybody's people are people. But you get to see the perspective, which is very different for me. And just certain subtle things and just things that I wouldn't necessarily think of because it's not shit that I deal with on a regular basis, like Blindspotting very much. It highlights these things in a way, highlights their struggle in a way that is relatable and understandable and not like, it's very much, there's way more clarity to things in these movies that have come out. And I love it. I want to go watch all of Spike Lee's shit, and I'm sure some of it's horrible, but I think I have a newfound appreciation for it. If not, maybe this is just my favorite film of his, but I enjoyed it. And it had the new Darth Vader guy from the new Adam Driver, which I enjoy him too. He's a great actor. I did not like the Logan Lucky. Didn't like that movie at all, but he was still good in it. He's good in movies. He's a good actor. I enjoy him. So yeah, basically he infiltrates the KKK over the phone. He talks to people, but then in person, it's Adam Driver, and it's just crazy. It's very much. I watch this movie. Watch it. Go watch it. It's good. It's a fucking great movie. It's one of the best movies I've seen this year, and by far, Spike Lee is one of the best directors. As far as like people that have their voice, you clearly can tell. I mean, just his writing, what he puts into his movies. I remember like Bamboozled being. I mean, he very much has a strong voice, which this is very closely related to, and I have finding more and more of appreciation for. So go watch this movie, the BlacKkKlansman. Go watch it. Definitely. Go watch Blindspotting and this movie. Amazing. Amazing movies, man. Two of my favorite movies. I mean, and like those two and Sorry to Bother You, three amazing films this year. And then there's fucking Mission Impossible, which is just a lot of fun. That's it. I'm done. Follow me, Instagram, Twitter, inspireddisorder.com, all my artwork, all my projects, patreon.com/inspireddisorder for all the exclusive content. Links are up top. Have a great week, everybody, or weekend. I don't know where we're at right now. Peace out!
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Boom! What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of my show. Now, I see a lot of movies on the show. I know. I go to the theater a lot. I enjoy it. I have Movie Pass, so I try to get the most use out of it as possible. But I also enjoy watching movies at home from time to time. But I don't always pay attention, so I don't like to talk about them as much. I'm usually working, editing video or whatever, making new faces, painting, blah, blah, blah. So I'm not always paying attention, so I miss a lot of stuff, and I don't really feel like I should talk. I don't feel adequate talking about some movies, but this one I watched the other night. It was amazing. It's the perfect movie to unwind to in a lot of ways. It is a teen, raunchy comedy, which I enjoyed back in the day, a good old American Pie movie, or I don't know, like Road Trip, It's very much in that vein, but I think taken to a new step. I mean, it's interesting watching these kinds of movies now that I'm older. I still this one I enjoyed. I'm sure there's a ton of them that I don't enjoy, but I enjoyed it. So I'm talking about The Package on Netflix. Am I going to go the whole episode before mentioning what the fuck I'm talking about? So yeah, it's just added to Netflix like a week ago. By the time you're watching this, raunchy teen comedy, road trip. They go camping, and there's an event that happens, and when it happens, I don't understand why. But I felt the pain. I felt the pain. There's a thing that happens. There's an area that when it happens in a movie or you see it on TV, where if somebody gets like hit in the nuts, like I would imagine most men can feel that sympathy pain. You know, they know the pain that person's going through. Maybe their toes curl a little bit. Maybe their butt puckers a little bit more. They know they get a reaction. There's a little post-traumatic stress from being kicked in the balls or hitting the balls. Playing basketball, got a lot of bounce passes to the balls, or like missed rebounds that just went astray to the nuts. But there's a scene in this movie where early on, and it happens so early on, I'm like, what is going to happen? How is this movie, like I'm just so stressed out from this event. So basically, spoilers, go watch this movie. But if you've already watched it or you just don't care about spoilers, I'll probably watch this movie multiple times. It's a fun movie. But there's an event where they're out camping and one of the characters is out peeing. And let's just say there's an accident and he loses his dick. And it's a very traumatic moment. And, you know, I had a visceral reaction when that scene happened. Blood started rushing to like vital organs because I was going to pass. I was just trying to save itself because it knows I can't. The outer body of mine can't handle any kind of external. Like I'm not a fighter. I'll just pass out. If anything like bad happens, like I'm on a plane and there's a terrorist, I'm gonna pass out. I'm gonna be so stressed. I have a cop that pulls up behind. I drive a fucking minivan, and a cop gets behind me, and I'm nervous. I get so stressed out. I have panic attacks. I don't know why. I'm not breaking any laws. I'm white. I shouldn't have panic attacks. I shouldn't get nervous when the cops are behind me. But I am. I'm not scared. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to have the hassle with like pulling over, showing them my shit. I just don't. Just the hassle of it makes me want to pass out. So in a terrorist situation, I'm probably not going to do very well. So anyway, this dick's fucking flying in this movie. And I don't even know how this movie's going to go on. I'm clicking to see how far ahead I am. It's like a half hour in. I'm like, or 20 minutes in. It's early. I have a whole movie to go. And then it's basically the friends trying to reunite their friend with the penis. So in a lot of ways, it's like a road trip kind of a thing. It's set up like they definitely take their time to set it up. A lot of movies probably would have had that scene. They would have started, oh, we're camping. They set it up. You get to know the characters. It's fun. There's a little romance. It's like, it's a teen comedy. There's always a little romance in there. I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it. It got me. Man, it got me. And there's a lot of, you can imagine all of the gags they have with the severed penis. And there's a couple scenes where that dick looks clearly fake. But then there's a lot of fucking scenes where it's like, whose dick did they cut off? It just looks like it might be like a real fucking floppy out dick. It's crazy. I enjoyed the fuck out of this movie. It's so much fun. And it's a Netflix movie, so you don't have to go out to a movie theater to check it out. Go on your Netflix, The Package, okay? Jake Szysnicki is the director. I have no idea. I enjoyed it. Fun actors. I don't know who any of these kids are. It was just a fun movie. So if you're looking for a fun comedy to watch on Netflix, The Package, you're welcome. And you feel the pain, feel sympathy. You'll know the scene. You'll know the moments that I had pain in my heart and my crotch. Bad pain. @RayTaylor, Instagram, Twitter, InspiredDisorder.com. All the links are up top. Patreon.com/Inspired Disorder if you want to watch the making of videos of the Photoshops that I do. If you want to watch the making of the artwork that I do. If you want to watch all week, the full week of episodes of the Ray Taylor Show, you want to watch that early, go over there, be a member, and you get a bunch of shit for benefits as being a member. Patreon.com. All the links are up top. Patreon.com/Inspired Disorder. Have a great week, everybody, or weekend, whenever you're watching this. I don't know. Have a great day. How about that? Or night. Just be wherever you are right now. Have a great moment. Have a great moment and note the moment that you had I had at least one great moment today. Just take a moment for yourself. Just one moment. Go to the bathroom if you have to, if you're at work. Go into the stall. Go into your second office. Meditate. Take some deep breaths. Take some you time. All right? When you get home after work, go watch The Package. All right. I'm out of here, everybody. Peace out!
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
What's up, everybody? Yeah. I'm going to talk about something that I enjoy on a daily basis and didn't get into until I was probably around 30, after 30, somewhere around there. Talking about weed, man. Talking about marijuana, cannabis, bitch. THC, CBD. All that shit. There's an entourage effect. I used to be very against weed. I had friends in art class in high school that I thought had tons of potential and squandered it on weed. They never seemed to give a shit. And little did I know that they were just woke as fuck. But yeah, I was just not into it. I don't know why. I was never introduced to it. Just had negative, all the propaganda of shit. It just, I had a negative, but didn't know anybody. I didn't know anybody that smoked. I met a few people, and it's like, I always convinced people to stop smoking, or at least convinced them to lie to me that they're smoking, which I do not blame them. It's just, I was ridiculous. I was naive. I was a very naive person growing up in fucking a suburb around nobody. I have one friend. I go to church because that's what they do. And so I'm around church people, which are not the most experienced people unless they've been saved, but they didn't have those kind of people. They usually kicked a lot of those people out. So I just wasn't around it. Wasn't really around it until San Diego. And then just most of my friends in San Diego smoke weed. And I just never did. I was just I'm a drinker. I drink. I don't smoke weed. And there was a couple parties where, I definitely got hotboxed. I've, definitely got high, but never really, knowingly smoked until, after a shitty relationship. I was just fuck it. And I had my condo already. I was an adult. I was I'm fucking 30. I'm an adult. I have I own property. I pay taxes. I can smoke weed. So I smoked weed a couple times, whatever, and then got my medical license. And at the time, I worked a warehouse job, standing on my feet, selling electronics on cement. So I had a lot of back issues. Plus, doing artwork, I lean. I have bad posture. Plus, phones also don't help. There's a lot of things contributing to my bad back problems, bad posture. So I was in a lot of pain also. Listening to Joe Rogan's podcast definitely opened up the fact that you don't, they're productive stoners. Watching Doug Benson's documentary, Super High Me, on Netflix. Netflix streaming was kind of a new thing at the time, and I watched that, and that was very much, breaking down barriers for me. Then there was a documentary called The Union, The Business Behind Getting High, produced by Adam Scorgi, and completely broke down the history of why marijuana is illegal, how it was the hemp industry that was basically going to take over the paper industry, and William Randolph Hearst, who had, paper mills and read publications, produced this whole, marijuana thing to scare people off of it so they could shut down hemp because it was going to take over his business. He wasn't going to be able to chop down trees and make paper anymore. It was going to go to hemp for textiles, for paper, for everything. So to do that, he used the drug, which is one of the things that marijuana, that cannabis plant grows. Hemp is the male version, which is non-psychoactive. It doesn't flower, doesn't have the buds. But anyway, so I watched that documentary. Highly recommend you watch it. The Union, the business behind getting high. It should be on Netflix. It was. And then there's a sequel that came out, The Culture High. Both great documentaries. But so those documentaries opened it up to me to where I didn't have the stigma of what it was, and I became more educated. I wasn't ignorant to what the fuck was going on, which is ridiculous now to think of what my thoughts were and what my prejudices were and what my ignorance was to what it is. But that's what learning is. That's what you get older, you realize shit. Some people realize shit when they're young. There's people that know more about weed when they're young, but they didn't know Photoshop when they were young. Maybe they're in their 30s trying to learn Photoshop, but they spent all their time smoking weed. And I was a fucking nerd learning Photoshop. But yeah, so I started smoking regularly once I got my license. The first time I ever bought weed, I went into a dispensary in San Diego, and there was just menus. There was indica, there was sativa, and there was hybrids, and there were edibles of all sorts and varieties. They had deals, they had, bonus things, they had free shit. It's the most amazing thing. Spoiled from the start with smoking weed. And I smoked pretty much every day since then. I do take days off here and there. I vary how much I smoke. Some days I smoke a shitload. Some days I'll barely smoke at all, if at all. I've gone through many phases. I went through the bongs and the pipes and all the different experimenting with the different paraphernalia. And I've basically just whittled it down to joints. I get the king size raw cones and I fill them up. I grind. It's like a whole process, a meditation. When I get a new thing of weed, I will go through and grind it up and fill the joints, and it's a whole process that I enjoy. So that's how I do it, because there's no cleanup. It's very easy peasy, portable. Fucking love it. So that's it. So now that's it. I'm highly productive, despite, maybe not financially, but I enjoy life so much. Go smoke some weed, people. Edibles are amazing too. Maybe I'll talk about that another one. But that's it, everybody. At Ray Taylor, InspiredDisorder.com for all of my artwork and Photoshops. Patreon.com/InspiredDisorder for bonus exclusive making of content. Go do it. Links up top. Have a great week, everybody. Peace out.